Welcome to the flight test with the Polaris scratch build. Beautiful day, blue sky, sunny, just a hint of cold, -2, but really nice. This is the Polaris scratch build. It's my fourth or fifth, I think it's my fifth, running the 1750 3S Rhino 25C and 2826 motor with a 6.4 APC copy prop on it. I normally use a 6.5 or a 3-blade 6.4, but at the moment she's running a 6.4. The previous flights I've tried with tight, and the zoom and everything has been terrible, so I've knocked her back to flight mode, medium tracking, and 1 second on the loss of track. So she seems to be good. She's on maximum resolution allowable for the Optic 25, which is the 1080, and I think it's 25 frames per second or 30 frames per second, something like that. But anyway, with the medium she seems to be tracking moderately well. This model is moderately fast. She's about 60-70 kilometers an hour flat out, averaging sort of 45-50, and she seems to be tracking with it quite well. The model is quite small. I think it's about 80 centimeters wingspan, something like that. So it's not an overly big model, so to see it in the camera, I think what we're getting now is not so bad. It's not a big model, so it's reasonable, I think. It does get lost a couple of times here and there, but generally I think this is not so bad. Definitely much better than tight function. Tight, I don't think really works. You would have to have a very slow and item following to stay in the frame. Tight is just too tight, I think. Medium, maybe a little bit too slack on the zoom. It would be nicer if the zoom would be a little bit more active, but given the flight, not so bad. Anyway, this is a scratch build model, Steve Schumacher's design, which has been developed on from the original North Star. There are derivations from this, like the Skipper and so on, which I think are absolute rubbish. I have the Skipper and it does not fly as well. Sorry, Skipper owners, but the Polaris is a much better machine. I think because the Skipper, they tried to put a decent delta wing on it, and maybe the incidence with the motor pylon is wrong, I don't know, but the Skipper bites. Make a mistake with that and you might as well take a plastic bag out in the middle of the field to pick up the bits. Polaris though, as long as you don't try doing outside loops or bunts, you're fine. The Polaris is a much better balanced and much better flying machine. Even though it's a flat plate wing, I think the incidence of the wing and the motor pylon is set up absolutely spot on. So the Polaris is a much better machine to fly. Anyway, here you see I'm not giving her too much, because basically I'm testing the solo shot rather than the model. After this recording, I did actually put her up again and really push the envelope, but I don't think the solo shot is designed to cover such. But anyway, you see that she's doing quite well. It's following her, as long as you're not too aggressive with the moves. And yeah, it's quite good. Medium, flight, 1 second, and she seems to follow. It would be better if the zoom would come in a little bit more than she does. I don't know whether solo shot can increase the amount of zoom that comes in. I don't know. I think the zoom is very reactive rather than proactive. Obviously, it's looking at the GPS reference position to the base and the tag to decide whether to. I think the zoom comes in a little bit late. I think it comes in a little bit not enough. It would be nice to see it come in a little bit quicker and a little bit more. Maybe there's instead of having 3 steps on the you know, the wide, medium, tight, maybe it needs a 4th step, so a wide, medium, narrow and tight, something like that. Increase the number of steps to give us more zoom control. I think at the moment what we're getting is very little zoom or too much. What I'm glad to see today is that with the warmer temperature, okay, it's -2, but using it the other day at -12 and -14 and so on, I was watching that the zoom really was very, very strange. It seemed to not be steady. It wouldn't zoom out and back in again in a reasonable manner. It seemed to suddenly decide to zoom in, suddenly decide to zoom back, and it was like in big increments. Today it seems to be zooming in a more steady and a more smooth pattern. So there you see that she got out of shot basically because of the change of direction too quick for the base to react. GPS is really, it's good for long range, but GPS is inaccurate, so it causes this this out of step every so often. So you know, it's I think there needs to be an optic or a radar, an RF function with this as well, to allow tracking alongside the GPS. But anyway, so she's going quite well, and this model does fly for a reasonable length of time, even though it's a 1750, which is smaller than what quite often in the summer when I have off water or something, I put a 2200 in her. But today I'm using the 1750, and that's fine. So here she comes in, bringing her in, and that's a good shot. That's over 8 minutes, so that's not bad on the 1750, 28-26 motor, 2200 kV. That's not bad runtime at all. So that'll do. That will do very nicely, thank you. So let's knock off the video and let's try the horrible skipper, but unfortunately I don't have tag fitting for her. But anyway.